take your time. So basically this video is going to be the extension for the previous one, and the previous one what I did was I introduced you to the Hilt dependency injection as a whole. So in this one what we are going to do is we are going to take out a previous project and we are going to completely migrate to Hilt from Dagger for dependency injection. By the way, before starting this one, I would like to say one thing. Previously, I only made videos for Dagger 2 in my channel, and now again I am making videos for Hilt. This is for what I am doing. This is just because that I want to keep updated myself with the latest trend and technology, but keep in mind that as developer our perspective should always be to learn about dependency injection principles rather than choosing the frameworks, right? So with that keep in mind, let's just get started then. So the idea is first I'll keep you going through the changes that I have made for the previous project that I had. So let's just first quickly go to the build gradle of the project. So if you see here, if you focus here, this part, I have added these two, which are basically the requirement for you to add Hilt. Here I have also added the Hilt view model, which I will be using, and Hilt compiler is also you need. So basically if you focus on this one and this one, these are KAPT. So basically there will be some sort of annotations which we have to process, right? Otherwise we don't need them. And fragment KTX is I am using for because I will be taking the view model as an extension, not with view model providers. So that's in nutshell the changes that I have made into this project. Now let's quickly focus on the changes from Hilt standpoint. Okay, so the first thing as a developer that you have to do if you are going to dive into Hilt, so your application class has to be annotated with Hilt Android app, and all these things, basic things, I have why you need to do this. These I have already discussed in my previous video where I have introduced you to Hilt. So make sure to check that out if you really want to dive deep into why. And here the focus is how. So after this, what you need to do is let's just go to the modules first. So if you see the modules, they do not have any change. They have some change, but those are minor changes only, because the provides annotation gives us the idea that this method will be used to provide a dependency for this type whenever required, and this singleton is the scope. So that does mean that the cache that will be returned from here will always be a single instance throughout the app, right? But the major change here is I have added this thing, install in application component class. So what do I mean with that? So in Hilt we already have some predefined components like application component, like activity component, fragment component, view component, and all those. So you don't have to, as a developer, you don't have to build your own components if you are using in those in only those Android parts, Android components, as in activity or application. I'm not taking the name of scope because scope is something I do not want to mess currently with, because that is something I will talk a little bit about afterwards. But this is something keep in mind that Hilt already gives us some sort of components that we can use, and we don't have to build those components. And if we, let's say, want to extend any component, so what we need to do in Dagger is add a dependency to that or add a sub component. So all these things you don't have to do. Hilt has a hierarchy level. So in that hierarchy, the topmost is application, and then comes your activity and fragments and all those things. So make sure to check the previous video. There I have discussed everything. So all you need to do here is you have to add these annotations to your application, to your modules, and add a component inside that one, so that Hilt knows that okay, this particular module, whatever dependencies are coming out of that module, that will be available in this component, right? Okay, so let's just dive into the app module. The same thing I have defined with application component, and that's it pretty much from a module standpoint and the Hilt Android app standpoint. So why we need to add this one is just a quick nutshell. Once I add this, Hilt knows that this is the entry point of my app, and it starts to build the Dagger graph from this point onwards, right? And so once we do this, how to use it, right? The usage you can find in main activity view model. I have done it here. So how did I do it? If you see that I am doing a constructor injection here. Okay, there is some sort of lag I see. Okay, now it's smooth, I guess. Okay, so in the constructor injection I am doing through constructor injection, right? These two things I am providing, right? Now here you see I have another annotation, view model inject, and just because I need to provide the dependencies to my view model, that is why I needed to add one extra dependency, that is this one, implementation Android X Hilt lifecycle view model, because Hilt comes with predefined components. But if you remember that whenever we needed to provide any dependency to view models, what we needed to do when we were working with Dagger, there is one part of that is multi-binding, where we have a map and we add some key. We map a key, we map a view model with a key and we put it inside a map, and every time we use a view model factory to instantiate the view models, not instantiate, to pass the dependencies to the view model, right? But here the developers of Hilt, they made it simple for us. They provided another set of libraries for us to use with use Hilt with jetpack components. There comes your view model, your work manager, your navigation, everything is there, navigation component, everything is there. So basically that's it. Now just to give a summary of what this app is going to do. So if you see that there are a few states that I have maintained. I guess you have previously seen this project altogether if you are following my videos from, I guess this video, this project I have used in when I was discussing coroutines, flow, everything. So you might be familiar with this. So what it does is, there are these states. So first let me start with main activity. So in the main activity you see the first thing is we have this we are instantiating this main activity view model with the help of view models, and once we do it, we get the call in init block here. And what we do, we we post the value of the state as loading. And what do I do there in loading? I just create my UI state, initial UI state, where I initialize my adapter and all those stuffs, and then I show a loading. What it is doing, it is just keeping a progress bar. And afterwards, what I do within it, I ask for get data. And get data, what it does, it has a different coroutine scope, and it hits the API. So API client.get data, what it does, it goes to this API, gets the data for us, and it goes through a wrapper. Obviously this run IO, what it does, it just takes the dispatchers and extracts the values from the API response, if it is a error or if it is a success response accordingly, and it gives me back the responses after extracting those values, right? And as soon as I get those, I have this when logic here. So accordingly, what I got it, because these are marked with error or success from my wrapper itself. If you see here, if there is an error, I am mapping that with an error, and the same thing I am doing it here. And this Hilt class I am using as a wrapper, and I am sending it back. And as soon as I get it, what I do, if there is an error, I post the value show error. If there is a success, I post the value show data. If there is an error, how do I show the error? Let's just see. I call this show error method, which just removes the progress dialog and show a toast, right? Nothing fancy. And definitely in your production level app you will not be doing like this, but for learning purpose we can do it. And for show data, what I am doing is calling this show data method, and I'm just submitting this list to the adapter. So submit list means I am using list adapter, I guess. I kind of forgot. Yeah, I was using list adapter in this project. I kind of forgot that what adapter I was using. So if you are not familiar with list adapter, what it does is it takes the model and it takes a diffutil. So basically diffutil, if you see that here I am making a callback using diffutil for that data set, which is the single data model obviously, and here I am defining I'm defining two method implementations. Actually I'm overriding those which will be used by this diffutil whenever it will be passed to the adapter, so that it knows when to change and how to, you know, smartly make the changes uh, in the recycler view. But uh, one thing you have to keep in mind, you can use this diff callback with diffutil with your normal adapters as well. Your adapters does not always have to extend your list adapter or page list adapter to use diffutil. You can do use it with regular recycler view adapters as well. Now that's it. So let's just run the app, right, and see. Okay, so to run the app, I think I have to screencast my mobile for you. Let me just do it. Okay, I guess you can see my mobile now. I don't know what happened with the brightness, but let's see. Let's just run the app to check, right? Okay, I'm running the app. I guess there is some sort of, oh, my charge is less, 17% charge. I guess that is something happening, that is something bothering us. Okay, so if you see, the API call has happened and the data is there, right? So it says that app restart successful without requiring reinstall. So let me just uninstall the app for you. What is the app name? This one, I guess. Yep, let me just uninstall it. Yes, uninstalled, and let me rerun the app for you. Now it should install properly. Yeah, now the API is hit, data is coming, and you see the data, right? Cool. So that's it, I guess. Yeah, now I think it should work. Yes, now I think it works. So yeah, from a pro tip standpoint, I have added here a VM module as well. So just to understand one thing here, if you see with the module as well, previously the scopes that I used was singleton. So I told you that for the whole app, the dependency that will come out of this particular method will be single instance for the whole app, right? But here if you see that the VM module, I have used a different component, not app component, application component. I have used here activity retained component, which is not at the same level with activity component, with application component. In hierarchy it's below that. But uh, what it does is, this activity return component is mostly used for view model. Why? Because it survives the configuration changes. View model survives the configuration changes. So if you are mostly whenever you will be dealing with injecting some dependency to your view model, you should be using activity retained component to install your module. Now how activity retained component survives this configuration change? Because every time there is a configuration change, our what it does is our app will go to on destroy, and then again it will come to, not app, our activity will go to on destroy, and then again it will come to on uh, uh, so it will again start, right, on create, it will again get called. So activity retained component, the component gets destroyed at the last on destroy, and it gets created at the first on create. What do I mean is, every time there is a configuration change, every time this thing happens, right? On destroy, on create, on destroy, on create. But at the first on create, whenever your activity comes up in the stack, activity return component gets initiated or gets created. But when the last on destroy happens, then only it gets destroyed. Not like activity components. Activity components are like for a single activity session. It's like on create it starts, on destroy it's gone. But activity return component does not work the same way. Now the pro tip was not this. The pro tip is this one, activity return scope. Now it's not a pro tip, basically it's a what do I say, it's a basic understanding that we as a developer, whoever is working with Dagger, not even I am talking about Hilt here, Dagger, we have to understand one thing, what is scope. So if I say that it is a singleton scope, that does mean the dependency whatever is coming, that is staying as a single instance throughout my app, right? But when I say activity retained scope, or when I say, let's suppose I am defining a scope which is activity scope, whenever I am saying activity scope, that does mean that, let's say there is one cache that came out from this function that is getting used in activity A. Now whenever activity B requires another set of cache, this one, they will get also from this method, but in that case that may be cache 2. So let me just put it like this, activity A uses cache 1 and your activity B uses cache 2. But always remember, if I say that this particular method is in scope of activity scoped, that does mean every time activity A asks a particular cache, it will always get cache A1, and every time activity B asks for cache, it will always get cache 2. But it will never happen that activity A will get cache another different cache, even though they are already in activity component. But so activity component will start from on create and it gets destroyed in on destroy, but the cache 1 which has been provided to activity A, whenever activity A will require this cache again from this method which is in activity retained scope, it will always get the same one. So this thing you have to keep in mind, what is scope and what is component here in terms of Hilt.
You are still in confusion about how this scoping works, so I have made a sample thing for you. So what we'll demonstrate here is how this scoping is going to work in Hilt, right? So if you see that over here the module that I have created, just hypothetically you can think that this is installed in an activity component, right? And the retrofit provided from there is already activity scoped. So remember, the module is activity component installed in activity component, and the retrofit provided from there is activity scoped. Now what happens at the first instance, let's say at the first time when activity A comes up, it gets a retrofit 1 A B C D E. This is what the maybe you can think of the hash code of the or let's say ID. Just for now, for the sake of simplicity, just think that this retrofit has a ID of 1 A B C D E which has been provided to activity A. Now when activity B asks retrofit from the same module which is installed in activity component, just because the retrofit provided method is activity scoped, the activity B will not get the same activity. Will not get the same retrofit what activity A got, right? So that is why you see that 2 A B C D E it got, right? But till the time this module which is installed in activity component is not destroyed, till the time this module which is installed in activity component is not destroyed, anytime activity A asks for retrofit, it will always get 1 A B C D E. Anytime activity B asks retrofit, it will always get to be CDE. But remember, if the component is installed in activity component, at the on destroy of the activity, Hilt destroys the component, right? So that is why I have written here first instances of activity. So if the second instance, when the second instance of the activity comes up, second time when the activity A again comes up, when activity A now asks for retrofit, that okay, give me some ask the module that okay, give me some retrofit which is activity scoped, it maybe it gives that 1ZYXWV, this is the ID, and activity B gets the another one. But again, till the time this particular component is there, that from till that time activity A will always get this one and activity B will always get this retrofit. So I think with this in mind, you have an idea that how component and scope work along each other. So let's get back to the video again.
With this, I guess we are done for this video, and mostly we have covered how we have migrated from using Dagger to Hilt. And that's it, I guess. So we'll see you in the next video. I am not quite sure that what video is I am going to make as the next one, so feel free to give me some sort of what I say suggestions, what do you want, and let's see when I can you know give you guys a new one. So take care, and please subscribe if you feel that these videos are somewhat helpful to you. So see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.